Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. Did we? Are we? Did we? I think we're live. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live once again on the I'm No Joe channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the newest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like an Eddie Bravo. With me, like most days, we've got some here. We may have some later. Who knows? It's a crazy world we live in. But for the time being, we've got full focused attention golf tee this week. Holy shit, TJ, how the fuck are you doing without a football game?
I'm fantastic. Got nothing else to focus on right now, which is great.
Good shit.
I can say after last week, there wasn't a whole lot to focus on the prelims, although, I got to the main stuff last week. That's what mattered.
Right, absolutely. Well, and to be fair, it's kind of the meat and potatoes was really all there really was, because,
Sure wasn't fuck having any of those side dishes, that's for sure.
Yeah, no shit. So, before we dig right into the top of the news and recent events, we will do a quick recap for those who did not catch last week's UFC 242 from Abu Dhabi. Dustin Poirier was defeated via rear naked choke by Khabib to retain the belt. There were some interesting fights overall, but it went pretty similar to how we called it, pretty much right down the damn line, football distracted or not. So we'll jump into this week's news and recent events, and I want to jump right into the very tippy top here. There were two announcements made just this evening that I want to get to first before I even get into what I've got down on the notes here. The first one being UFC 244 has another fight getting stuffed into that ridiculously already stacked card here. Andrei Arlovsky will be fighting Rozenstruik, the rather large new up-and-coming fellow. That's going to be an interesting match to see. And then the one that really caught my attention here, Bellator 232 co-main event was just announced. They have officially booked Paul Simtex Daly versus one Saba Hamasi, coming off of a fresh and delicious KO victory from his recent bout that I told you folks to tune in for, and I was so glad that I said it, because holy shit, that young man put in work, and they are giving him a crack at Simtex on a co-main event, so that is going to be something you're absolutely going to want to tune into. That's going to be one hell of a fight. That's a brawler's brawl, if ever there was one. Because he'll stand and trade with Simtex, and it will be intelligent, and it will be interesting. I'm very excited about that one, if you didn't catch the drift. But now we can get into the stuff that I had pre-planned to talk about here. So the first one I want to talk about, they have officially confirmed Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz will headline the UFC 244 card at Madison Square Garden for the freshly to be created and one-time only use baddest motherfucker in the game belt. Dana White is making an actual belt. They have created it, and he has declared this is non-transferable. This is a single fight belt. One of them will go home with it, and it will no longer be disputed. This is weird, but I'm into it. I'm fucking digging it. I'll take it. This is strange how Dana is getting so into such a non-title fight when we've had so many arguably as big or bigger non-title fights before that did not get this much attention. But being as who we're talking about in this fight, I'm not mad at it. I'll fucking ride this wave out, and we will see how this fucking goes.
You know, I have one thing to say on that, because I think what blows my mind is Dana's so fucking blind It took him how many years to figure out, and Mr. Diaz is a huge fucking draw. And he's also learning the hard way that so is Masvidal.
Yep.
What the fuck, dude? I mean, Eddie Bravo named a fucking goddamn jiu-jitsu move a three-piece soda.
Right.
Dude, that tells you something right there. I think the only thing that makes this any better with that new belt, the one and done, was what Jorge Masvidal put out via tweet to the only The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah. He wants The Rock to put the belt on him.
Dwayne Johnson did fucking go and reply.
He responded, yep.
I will try to make it happen. If I can be there, I will do it.
Yeah, The Rock is into it because he's a big UFC fan. Folks might not know, he is ringside for quite a few of the United States-based events because obviously it's a little hard for a guy with his fucking schedule to make it to some of the overseas cards, but the vast majority of the U.S. cards, you'll see him cage side, and he knows his shit when you hear him talk in interviews. Very surprisingly, he knows his shit, so it wouldn't surprise me if he gets an opening in his schedule, and he is at MSG for this fucking card to go down.
I'm pretty sure with this one, he'll make that happen.
That's what I'm saying, especially now that it's been publicized and he's fucking all about it. I'm sure his assistant is just running through that fucking book right now trying to figure out what can be moved where to make sure that's a thing.
I think there's only one other thing I want to touch about that, is this being the main event and it technically being a non-title fight. Why are we not having more of these? There used to be a lot of these.
I absolutely agree, and that's part of why I said that this is kind of weird that Dana's getting so into this, because this used to be a regular thing. This is what fight nights used to consist of for the most part. It didn't used to be filler until we get to the next pay-per-view event. Fight nights used to end with one of these caliber, just badass non-title fights, and that's one of the things that got a lot of people into the sport. So I'm a little sad. I agree that it took so long to get back to this, but I'm in.
I'm hoping it's a new trend that they stick with.
Well, and Dana keeps mentioning that they're trying to change the way that they're doing things and get back to the things that everybody loved. He said it in an interview the other day, and this is one of the first things we saw after he said that in the interview. So fingers fucking crossed.
And I'm hoping that means trimming some of the fat, because there is a whole lot of fluff on a lot of cards lately because they're trying to do too many cards. Look, don't get me wrong. I love being able to watch fights every weekend, but I want to watch meaningful, exciting fights. Don't get me wrong. All of these guys that are in the fluff category right now, they all have their place. They really do. They're still up-and-comers. They should have some spotlight to shine in one way, shape, or form, just not every fucking weekend. And on paid-per-view cards, especially paid-per-view cards. This last week, it looked like a goddamn porn shoot with how much fluff there was on that motherfucker.
Yeah, it was a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
I agree. I would gladly go back to 2 big cards a month if it meant that those 2 cards were no fluff. Have a fight night, every other event, have a fight night in between, fill it with fluff, put it on ESPN, put it on ESPN Plus. Everyone will be okay with it because the fighters on that card get their fight, they get their TV time, and then the pay-per-view cards and the big cards get stacked with the big fights that are important, that people are willing to pay to watch.
That's right. Even the prelims on those. And then, you know what? If you want to add some fluff, add it in the early prelims. And if you want to add an extra fight or two in the early prelims for that fluff, feel free. Those guys need their place to shine.
Absolutely.
Whatever. Let it happen there. Let them work their way up.
Yeah, the premier fights on the prelim and the early prelim cards that they're doing now. The big thing that every card has to have its own premier fight. There you go.
Yeah. Apparently, what do we know? We're just some random guys on the internet talking shit.
I'm just an armchair quarterback. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
It's not like I've been watching this game for the last fucking 20 years.
Right, no shit.
Plus.
But the next one I want to mention here real quick, another interesting little thing that everyone absolutely needs to keep an eye out for. they have announced the headline fight for November 9th's UFC Moscow card. The headline event will be one Volkov versus JDS in Russia. That's going to be an interesting battle of big men. And it's going to be a Russia card, so you know that crowd is going to be insane. That's going to be one that you're definitely going to want to keep your eyes out. I cannot wait to get that full card for us to break down as well. Back in reference to last weekend's Abu Dhabi, another little interesting tidbit that I didn't think I would see for no reason, as it were. No fight of the night bonus. 4 performance of the night bonuses instead. And it wasn't the fights that you would think it was either. Dana still has not said why they have done it that way, just that that's the way that they felt it worked out the best.
How the fuck did the Paul Felder and fight
Barboza, right?
Barboza, that fight should have been fight of the night, period.
Absolutely.
That was the absolute best fight on the card. That boggles my mind. Not to mention, they should have got a performance and fight of the night bonus. They should have given fucking both. Fucking 100 G's in both of their pockets. Called it a fucking day.
They carried the weight of that card.
They really did.
Absolutely.
Don't get me wrong. There was some other decent fights for it being fluff, but they were fluff fights, and you could tell because a lot of them didn't look polished.
Yeah, a lot of them you could see as they panned across the crowd, there were a vast majority of the people in attendance doing this for most of the fight. You could see people on their phones while the fights were happening for the vast majority of that whole card.
Gotta love social media for that reason. I'm at the UFC fights. I'm not actually taking it in, but I'm fucking...
Right, I'm telling everyone about being at the UFC fights.
I'm twatting about it or something about it.
Well, and that was a perfect example of one of the things that we bitched about on the show talking about that card is that this being in Abu Dhabi, in this fucking stadium where it's almost essentially all European, Middle Eastern royalty and oligarchs of different varieties. This was not a card for the actual fans. And it was a very clear example when you saw that pan. Very few people in a gigantic stadium built specifically for that event were even paying attention to half of the fucking fights. That hurts as a fan because if you would have put that card in Vegas, you would have sold out that fucking arena and Fremont Street would have been overflowing with lunatics just throwing money at the bookmakers.
Like, every fucking time.
Yeah, every fucking time without fail. But, you know, it is what it is.
Yep.
But speaking of that fucking amazing Edson Barboza versus Paul Felder rematch, that I absolutely encourage everyone to go back and watch if you missed. Edson Barboza actually released a statement on Tuesday and just basically completely threw a hissy fit. Not only does he disagree with losing the fight, he's so adamant about it, he wants to petition the UFC to reverse the decision. He wants this loss removed from his record. He wants the decision reversed so that he actually wins, not a no contest fucking win removal. Now, I'm a fan of Edson Barboza's, and I have been for a long fucking time, but this is one of the dumbest things I can remember seeing since Cyborg's whole, you know I'm always lying, bullshit scenario. The fight went to decision. We say it all the time. If you leave it in the hands of the judges, you don't get to complain about the decision you get. You know, the case of the judges in the UFC, be it here or overseas, is always going to be questionable until they do some type of judging reform, like Rogan, like several other professionals have always indicated that you should get former fighters or former referees to be doing the judging because they know what's going on. They know more about what they're seeing than these old boxing judges who don't know a jab from a fucking single leg. Like, there's no reason for that. But if you let it go to the judges, you have to be, content with the decision that the judges leave. If you look back, Paul Felder felt the same fucking way after the first fight, which was equally as close. But he didn't release a fucking crybaby statement. He got a little pissed about it. He went and he changed his fucking game, and he went on a tear. That's how you handle that.
So recently has ended in the loss of Barboza, and I love Barboza just as much as you do. The dude has been fantastic for the UFC. He's always come as gamer. But that shit, completely uncalled for. Look, dude, you left it up to the judges. Don't get me wrong. Watching that fight, that could have been called either fucking way.
It could have been a draw, and I'd have been okay with it.
Yeah, there was a draw on that fucking card, and I was surprised. It's like not too, or was that the fucking Bellator fucking? I don't remember. It was one of those two fucking cards that weekend. But either way, that could have went either way. There's no reason to bitch about that. Guess what? You left it up to some Tom, Dick, and Harry, or Harriet. I don't remember if there was a female judge on the panel that night or not. I think there was, if I remember correctly. But it doesn't matter here nor there whether a male or female. The only thing that matters is you can't bitch about it. You didn't do enough to put him out of there. It looked like it for a moment that you might, and then Felder came back and did some fucking work, and the rest is history. At this point, you know what you do? You chalk it up as a loss, and you get ready for that fucking third fight, because you know what? This is one of those trilogy fights that is completely worth watching. Look, of course, Felder's not going to do that right away, because he's got his sights set a little bit higher now that he's won that fight. So let him work his way up, see where the fucking cards may fall, and when it comes time, let's see that trilogy, because I'm all about watching that again. That's just fucking fantastic showing.
Felder actually released a response to this statement yesterday. He said he respects Edson's opinion because they're still friends, despite the fight. They have been for years. They were friends after the first fight. So he respects his opinion and his right to feel the way that he did in a close decision match. He said he is absolutely open to the trilogy and the fans absolutely want it, but under one condition, that it's 5 rounds. I agree 100% because we have now seen that fight run 4 years apart, 3 rounds both times, literally both times, so fucking close it was a split decision and could have gone either way and would have been understandable. Could have been a draw in both fights, and it would have been understandable.
It was a razor-thin decision either way. Either way the cards would have fallen, I would have been happy with the decision either way. Don't get me wrong. I was glad to see Felder win because he'd been hustling his ass off between fighting and commentating and everything else he's doing.
Yes.
That dude's amazing that he can get in there and commentate as well as he does, and then put up on a performance like that. Look, there's not a lot. Look, I'm going to hate this. God, I hate to say this. Dominic Cruz. Fantastic commentator. I love him as a commentator. But lately, every time he's fought, and he's looked like shit.
He's starting to lose a step, absolutely.
Yeah, Felder, definitely not losing a step. He's gaining a step every time I've seen him lately. So let the dude run the tables here. And look, Barboza, don't beat yourself up over it. You put up a fuck ton of a fight. Look at the fucking cut you put on Felder, for Christ's sakes.
Oh, shit. You know
that was a good gnarly fucker. Somebody went home with some fucking new presents to show his wife.
Right.
It's leading up to a good trilogy, and if it doesn't happen, it's because of one person and one person only. And we all know who that person is, and he doesn't need to be named because I'm going to think of him as Voldemort right now because it takes him so long to pull his head out of his ass.
Right. No, absolutely. And I think I agree 100% with Paul too, that with this fight being so close twice, it has to be 5 rounds. I think 5 rounds of what we've seen twice in a 3-round war, bell to bell, would be fucking spectacular. So fingers crossed they play that one right. Another announcement that they made, this one earlier in the week, for 244's Madison Square Garden card, headlined by Nate and Jorge. Now we know as well we'll have an Arlovsky on the fucking card. Also, Wonder Boy versus Vicente Luque. I've been telling you guys to fucking watch Vincente. They're giving him a crack at Wonder Boy because Wonder Boy has not had his shit that well together lately, and he's starting to stumble down the ranks, leaving new spots up at the top. Vincente Luque is an opportunist in that sense. He is taking that fight. He is very excited, and I think that's a very good matchup because Luque is a big dude, and he can handle the crazy fucking striking styles that Wonder Boy is going to throw at him. And he can put him on the ground like Woodley did. And we've seen through that Woodley series of fights that you put Wonder Boy on the ground and he's not as threatening as he is when he's got room to set that fucking karate stance on you. Vincente Luque can handle that karate stance and put him on his ass. So I think it might be a bad matchup for Wonder Boy. I think this might be Luque's moment to really, really fucking shine.
I can't say that it's necessarily a bad matchup for Wonder Boy because Luque will stand and trade. But what I want to know is how does he come off of that last fucking horrific knockout that he had there? Because everybody says it was a lucky punch. I guess a lucky punch or not, fucking he got knocked the fuck out.
It landed, lucky or not.
It landed hard as shit.
Yeah.
And when you have to have your dad sitting there in a chair next to you in the fucking emergency room telling everybody what's going on, you're like, oh, I don't even remember. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah. How do you come back from that? Let's see.
Well, to be fair, he was in Abu Dhabi doing fan meet and greets and talking to press with Valentina and Cringe Hudo. So, I mean, he's still out there. He says he's excited about the fight. So, we'll see. We'll have to see how Wonder Boy bounces back because he bounced his back off that canvas pretty damn hard. So we'll have to see if he can actually get his shit back together and be the Wonder Boy that we saw once upon a time that was really fucking scary to everybody and ran up the fucking ladder to his title shot. So
we'll see. That's for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that. Speaking of things to keep an eye on here, if you remember, pretty evenly throughout the buildup for UFC's 242, but predominantly the last couple days of fight week before the actual event itself, Dustin Poirier was going out of his way to try and talk down about Conor and talk about how there's no reason that he needs to even think about Conor because Conor is not an issue right now and he's going to win this belt. And then yesterday he releases a statement and he wants his rematch with Conor because he feels that that's one that he can win back. All of a sudden, it's time for him to get the loss he got to Conor avenged. Now that he's not the champ he thought he was going to be, that Conor fight, that wasn't worth talking about, even though he kept fucking talking about it for a whole fucking month. Now, that's the one that he wants. Now that's the one he's talking about. He wants to talk about this. Now, all of a sudden, Conor McGregor's the name he wants to say every time you put a fucking microphone in front of him. That's not how this works. And McGregor's response to it is what made me the happiest because he said, there's no reason to run that back. I ended you in 90 seconds flat. # gone in 90 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? This week has been filled with a lot of people calling Conor out. So all I can do is laugh because even Ben Askren was fucking with him.
Yeah.
And that was funny as hell. Ben Askren shut him down. And you don't see too often that fucking somebody shuts down Conor when it comes to shit talking.
Very true.
Ben Askren is apparently in that league. So it was just funny to see how many of them are calling him out now all of a sudden that, oh my God, this is what's actually going on in this division.
Yeah.
People are looking for a money fight since they might not get that title shot. And I can't blame him. He's a big draw no matter what.
Absolutely. Well, and especially after last week at the post-fight press conference, Dana said specifically, absolutely, Tony Ferguson gets the next title shot offered. If he turns it down for any reason, Conor Khabib rematch is the next title fight, period. As soon as Dana said that, everyone backstage, well, I'm going to fight Conor. Well, Conor needs to come fight me. And then Dustin yesterday, I need to avenge that loss to Conor. I think I should get that one back. Well,
You know what?
Funny how this happens all the fucking time. Whenever Dana says something about Conor, now everybody else wants to fight him again.
You know what's funny about that? I think every one of them have the right to fight him. I don't think he deserves another title shot. I love Conor, but I don't think he deserves another shot at Khabib right now. He doesn't.
I agree he needs a fight before he gets another title shot. I don't think Dustin deserves that fight, though. I didn't think
anybody from that lightweight division that wants to fucking call him out, do so. Whoever they match him up against, fucking golden. Let's see what happens. To be honest, as much as I love Conor, I want to see them put him against a predominant wrestler.
Absolutely. The winner of Gaethje Cowboy is most likely, realistically, going to be Conor's next match, and I agree with that because Dustin shouldn't have been there to begin with. Dustin piggybacked and then fucking leapfrogged the entire fucking division to get a title shot out of nowhere on a couple of mediocre at best performances, realistically. I think Conor definitely doesn't get to walk back into another title shot after losing to Khabib the way that he did last time. But he doesn't have to walk all the way to the back of the fucking line again either, because he really did help put 155 back in the fucking spotlight with what he did do during his reign. So now I think it's his chance to either cement that he's still that motherfucker, or he's going to lose another big match and then he's just going to go retire. In
all technicalities, he's still ranked number 3 in that division.
And justifiably so.
Yeah.
Justifiably so. Based on his performances in that division, absolutely.
He lost one fight in that division.
That's right.
One, because the other one was a catchweight.
Yep.
No, he's lost one fight in that division, and that is to the champ.
Yep.
Guess what? That doesn't drop you to the bottom of the ladder, but still,
not at all.
He definitely needs. I don't think he gets another title shot, in my opinion, right away. The way Dana said that, where if Tony Ferguson and him don't work, Conor gets it. No, fuck right off.
No, I think that was bait for Tony. Because they apparently had offered Tony the Khabib rematch several times while he was going through his shit, but it never got signed because of all the shit that Tony was fucking going through. I think that was basically Dana's way of saying, this is the last time we're going to just honorarily give you your title shot.
Well, at this point, he deserves it. He dismantled Cowboy. He systematically dismantled Cowboy. And Cowboy was right there in my eyes. He was the next title shot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But we also didn't get to see that whole fucking fight because of Cowboy's dumb fuck up either. I think running that one back would probably result in a very different fight as well. But other than that Cowboy fight, realistically, Tony hasn't done shit since he got his interim belt to warrant getting another immediate title shot. Other guys have been at the top, gotten hurt, and had to work their way back up. Tony shouldn't be any different, especially based on what we've seen of him in the octagon. Yes, he's been pretty good, but has he been championship Khabib beating level good? Not since the injury.
And that's the only way to find out is if this fight actually happens. I have a feeling it will, but let's see. They've tried to back him up 4 times in the last 4 years, and it has fallen through every fucking time. Yeah, will this be number 5?
Well, that's part of why I think that the whole Conor statement was really more bait for Tony than anything else. Because Tony has been just unrelentingly talking shit about Conor nonstop for the last couple months. So I think with Dana saying, Tony, this is your chance, and if you don't take it, I'm giving your spot to the guy that you don't like. I think he's going back to some fucking grade school psychology, but with these 3, I think that will work. So we'll have to see how that shakes out. But the next interesting matchup that I want to mention real quick that we got, November 16th's card will be headlined in Sao Paulo by Jan Blachowicz, welcoming to the 205 division Jacares Sosa. The Gators moving up. This, I think, is a very interesting situation because we've seen several other gentlemen go up from 85 to 205 and it not work out the way that they planned. Jacare has always been a fairly large 185, though. He obviously walks around well north of 200 pounds and cuts down hard to 185. He's always been a big 185er. The issue there is that Jan Blachowicz is a fucking monster, Polak. That man is huge. He said that he generally walks around closer to 270 and cuts to 205 because he doesn't feel that he's big enough for heavyweight and doesn't want to bulk. Understandable. That's a lot of the 205 guys' arguments. But he's a big motherfucker. I don't think he's going to have the same advantage he had against Rockhold, but I definitely think Jacares is not going to have an easy time with Blachowicz either.
What I want to know is, why are they turning him into the gatekeeper for people moving up to 205? Because that's kind of what it seems like.
I feel like this is probably going to be his last issue in that situation here, because Rockhold was the fucking golden boy set to make his debut and just have light work of Blachowicz. And you saw how that fucking went. And then there was talk about Blachowicz getting the next shot at John, because really, who the fuck else is there right now at 205? Not a whole lot. The division's pretty fucking shallow at the moment. Well, then you got all these other guys who have started talking about coming up to 205. You got fucking Weidman coming up. He's taking on Reyes. You got fucking Jacare coming up now. I have a feeling that if Blachowicz can definitively and, massively take Jacare, of all fucking people, out in his 205 debut, I think it cements him his shot at the 205 belt. Whether realistically he's ready for it or not, the guy's kind of paid his fucking dues at this point. He's kind of the cowboy at 205. He fights everybody they offer him.
Well, yeah, he dismantled the Rockhold. Just fucking beat him the brakes off and broke his fucking jaw.
Don't make fun of a guy's feet, man.
Yeah, it's a bad idea, man. To be honest, as much as Jacare is big for the 185 division, I think he's going to be small at 205.
I agree.
And Blachowicz is going to make that well known, and I think that's going to be the problem I have with this is that you're right. There's nobody else in 205 that can really has a right to fight John right now, because it's slimmed out. The top hasn't moved around much, and Blachowicz is ranked number 6?
6, yeah.
Yeah. That's the only problem I have with him getting the title shot. He's still ranked number 6. Although there was a Reddit out there, Reddit user, who went and looked up all of these people who do the rankings. Most of them have no affiliation to MMA whatsoever.
Yeah.
No, it was not most of them. It was a third of them have no MMA affiliation whatsoever. They've never trained. They don't do gyms. They don't even know fighting. How the fuck are these guys ranking people?
Yeah.
And so on the other side of that, saying he's not ranked high enough, I get it that he deserves the shot, but I don't think Souza's the fight that he needs to win in order to get the shot. I really don't.
I just feel like after that Rockhold performance, if he can put another little cherry on top of that Sunday and be like, who else do you need me to knock out? Because this would be 2 huge fucking names that both had, potential serious weight behind them in their move up, potentially carrying the same weight that we've seen other stars carry when they move up. Their power gets crazier. Their gas tank generally isn't quite as good, but they generally can do more with it in the earlier rounds to make up the difference. And then you see Rockhold just get fucking flatlined, and you see his shit get cracked. So it's like, is this a situation where we're going to see a guy go up to 205 and do good? Or are we going to see Blachowicz just stand there and fucking, railroad spike another potential badass moving up to show off in another division? And at that point, how many more people does he need to get through?
Yeah, I just really wish they would have given him a better fight for his career. Don't get me wrong. Jacare is a feather in the cap.
Yeah, no shit.
That it is. But I think as far as like a good standing moving up, he should have definitely been getting a top 5er and then a title shot. Because right now, I could see him beating anybody in the top 5 right now.
Yeah, probably. If not, it would be a damn good run for their money.
Yeah. But I can definitely see him getting a shot if he dismantles Souza. But only time's going to tell. I just really hope that they're not trying to turn him into the gatekeeper for people who are moving up to 205. Because if that's the case, that is a total waste of fucking talent.
Well, and to be fair, if that is what they're going to do, give the man some fucking money, because clearly he's capable of doing the job you're asking him to do. So if that's what you want him to do, pay that fucking man. If you're not going to send him up the fucking ladder after he's beating the shit out of guys trying to make their way up, give that motherfucker some shit, please.
I'm wondering if they're doing this on purpose because they know he can do this, and they're trying to get those guys to take your happy ass back down where you belong.
That's what I'm saying. And if that's the case, I'm totally cool with that. Just compensate that fucking man for doing your dirty work.
Oh, shit. Let him put Condom Depot on his fucking trunks.
Yeah, dude, because he's clearly fucking these old guys trying to move around.
Yeah.
No, I agree. So, next one I want to jump into real quick. Something that we were hoping to hear, something that we've been talking about, something that we've been following since it was a weird little, maybe almost kind of, but then not really because fuck Dana story. Scott Coker announced yesterday that they are in negotiations right now, and they have every intention to be in the Nick Newell business for many years to come. He is planning on inking him a 6-fight deal. They are working out numbers as we speak. Fucking A, it looks like the kid's going to get his fucking chance. And I tell you what, with the fucking resume that kid has already that people don't realize, wait till you see him start running through motherfuckers in Bellator.
I'm so excited for that. I'm so excited. And I want to praise Scott Coker here. Thank you, sir. You know what?
Good move.
After that single fight contract that you just had him fight on, and him go in there and just, without a shadow of a doubt, I don't even think he got fucking touched during that fight.
I don't think he got hit.
And
it wasn't anything significant, that's for sure.
RNC for the win. Fucking just that fucking quick first round. Granted, he needs some work on the mic, but he'll get there.
He hasn't had a chance to, so.
Yeah, so it's fantastic to see that, which was fucking awesome. Not to mention giving the guy the fucking shot that Daddy Dana was afraid of. And you know what's funny? Bet you if you'd have put him through the Contender Series, he would have fucked everybody in the Contender Series up.
His fight in the Contender Series was a very close decision. That's another fight that arguably could have went either way depending on the fucking judges that you have reffing that. That was a close fucking battle.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous that he did not get a contract out of that. But you know what? That's Daddy Dana being afraid to, oh my God, the guy's got a handicap. No, he's fucking handicapable, motherfucker, if you didn't know it.
Right. Yeah, ask Corey Browning how that handicap slows him down from choking the fucking life out of you. It doesn't.
Fucking amazing how that works.
No, I'm very fucking glad to hear that Scott Coker had the balls that Dana White didn't, because this man in World Series of Fighting has already beaten quite a few of the big UFC celebrities that are in action right fucking now. They already have professional losses to Nick fucking Newell. Go look up his resume if you want a little chuckle at some of your favorite big name UFC fighters these days. But speaking of former or used to be big name UFC fighters, there was a whole bunch of press this week, interestingly enough, done with GSP. And one of the big things that he had to say this week was that he legitimately was sad that Nick Diaz has sat on the sidelines as long as he did, because he felt that after GSP left, Nick Diaz could have run the 170-pound division. He said, and I quote, "I have no doubt Nick Diaz would have been an absolute nightmare for Tyron Woodley and kept that belt with ease." From GS fucking P. And like, there's a full article on it. And if you're interested in it, I encourage you to go read the whole fucking thing, because he said several different things in this article. But this is the big takeaway that I wanted to make a point about. The Diaz brothers have always been capable, willing, and able. We've seen there be some drawbacks. Capable is not anything that any of the Diaz brothers have ever had an issue with. And the great of the greats, GSP himself, is on record talking about how sad it makes him to see that Nick didn't get to run the UFC. in the time that he clearly could have. I mean, normally that's not something you put a lot of faith in, but when it's somebody like GSP who had some fucking wars back in his prime and also paid close attention to the other wars going on in the UFC at that time, you got to think he had a little bit more of an insight than the average fan would have. And for him to put that much stock in his ability, it really does make it that much more sad that we're probably never going to see Nick in the octagon again, realistically.
Yeah, that is a really sad thing because the one being high praise from GSP, fucking phenomenal. Because look, GSP didn't run the top of the game for so many fucking years for no reason. He knows what he's talking about. He might not be an active fighter now. In his last fight, he came out and rear naked choked fucking Michael Bisping. After he was thoroughly getting dismantled, Bisping was doing a fantastic job, but gave up the back. And GSP, being the seasoned veteran he is, took advantage.
Never a good move.
Yeah. It hurts me to see that we get one Diaz, but not both.
Right.
Those two, it seemed like back in the day, they were on like every other card. You can guarantee there was one Diaz on the fight card. Almost every other fucking card, every other pay-per-view. And they were putting on shows every fucking time.
Hell yeah.
And you're right with that willing and able statement there. They're always able. Whether they're willing. Look, those guys, they're fucking businessmen. As much as they're fighters, they're business guys. Because they go like this. Now, the reason why niggas in here so much? Money. Yeah. Nate.
Mover now.
Yeah, he's a needle mover now. Look, his brother's a fucking needle mover too. Guess what?
The Diaz brothers always move fucking needles. Dana just didn't want to fucking admit it. Either one of the Diaz brothers have always moved fucking needles.
That's it. I mean, it blows my mind that we get one but not the other. However, Daddy Dana is kind of an ornery little. To be honest, when it comes to things like this, he reminds me of a early teenage girl who's just getting all of her emotions in check and trying to learn how to deal with them. Because he never seems to have his shit in order or his emotions under control when it comes to things like this. Because it's immediately those simple 4-letter words that come out of his mouth. Like, fuck that guy, or fuck him, he's out. What a piece of shit. Dude, suck up your pride and know that, yeah, that dude's a needle mover. You should have him here. Offer him a fight. You offer him a fight that he wants and put some money behind his name.
Right, give him a fucking paycheck. Give him the paycheck he deserves.
Yeah, put some fucking respect on it. He will come back, he will show up, and he will fight just as we remember it. Because look, if his brother's doing it now, guaranteed he's still doing it. Those guys train every fucking day, whether they're fighting or not. Between running their gyms, helping other people getting ready for their fights. They're fighting every fucking day.
Ironmans, yeah.
Yeah, they're not fucking slouches. So what, they smoke a little weed. Big fucking deal. Don't give a shit. They put on a show. They've always got a gas tank for days. And guaranteed you're going to see somebody get slapped at least once. Because that shit is hilarious.
Yeah, at some point. In either one of their fights, somebody's getting slapped.
Even Dana gets slapped.
It happens. There's video.
There is a video. It happened. So, that's a sad thing that he's not here. But you know what? It's awesome that his brother's fucking getting paid and finally getting the respect that he's been deserving of for so goddamn long.
I agree. And it's, better late than never. We didn't have to wait to see Nate Diaz taking apart Bellator before we finally got a good fucking fight out of him.
Yeah.
Dana finally came to his senses, and we're starting to see some good fucking Nate Diaz matchups. I'm happy for that. I'll take it.
Moving in the right direction.
That's right. Speaking of not moving in the right direction, though, one of UFC's most recently famous soup cans, Dmitry Smolyakov, the latest fucking soup can to get handed to the woman beater who won't be named on my fucking show, has just received a 2-year suspension for testing positive in 2 different tests for not 1, but 2 different human growth hormones. And I know you're thinking to yourself, there's no way. And then you look at the picture of the gentleman whose traps connect directly to his fucking earlobes where his neck should rightfully be, and you think, maybe there's something a little fishy with that gentleman. Turns out, you take all the fucking HGH you want, don't make you a better fighter, though. Soup can's still a fucking soup can, even if you're covered in muscles. But, yeah, I thought it was interesting that they confirmed in 2 different test batches, in 2 different samples in each test, both sets of samples all came back positive for 2 particular human growth hormones.
You know, this is just another one of those cases that shows you keep feeding us fucking shitty soup cans that are filled with additives that we really don't want.
Yep.
Keep that shit to your fucking self. If you want to eat that shit off the garbage, eat it out the garbage, but we're not that guy. All I can say is it's just another case of them trying to shove some shit down our throats that we really didn't want in the first place.
I agree.
Put those bitches back in a house and make them fight for their spot.
I agree. I miss the Ultimate Fighter more now than ever. And they're still talking about bringing it back, but even if they do bring it back, I don't think they're going to do with it what we want them to do. I think they're still going to bastardize it like they did the fucking Contender Series, but we'll have to wait and see.
I think part of that is the problem with it, them trying to get so overly mainstream. Well, yeah. Even boxing isn't mainstream. I'm sorry to say, even boxing in its prime wasn't mainstream.
No.
So, look, people fighting is never mainstream. It has a very large following, but it is not baseball or football or soccer or football in other parts of the world. Or fuck, even cricket. Cricket is bigger than MMA.
Well, see, you know, cricket, you got to know what a crumpet is.
But
sorry, I had to.
If you stop feeding fucking people garbage so you can try to make it mainstream, this will be a lot better for everyone. And then it'd probably be easier to make it mainstream because you wouldn't be feeding people trash. Nobody wants to watch a fucking soup can fight another soup can, or a soup can fight a fucking wife beater.
Right.
Nobody wants to watch that. If we wanted to watch that, we'd turn on fucking Jerry Springer.
Yeah. He's not the father. Yes, I am. Oh, but speaking of shit that nobody wants to watch, JoJo. Oh, JoJo. She won last weekend and then immediately said, after her decision victory coming off of a loss, that she's now ready to take the title from Valentina Shevchenko. No, sweetheart, you're not.
It wasn't even that impressive of a victory.
No, that's what I was going to say. You, 1, can't call out for a title shot on a decision victory. 2, can't brag about a decision that close and lucky. That could have realistically went either way. That's another one of those. When you leave it in the hands of the judges, you can't really be pissed about how it ends up. But if you watch that fight, it absolutely could have been argued that JoJo lost that fucking fight as well. So I think it's one of those situations where she's just trying to use her Scottish brogue to get a title, and it's not going to work. Like, sorry, sweetheart, you're adorable and all, but that's not title performance, especially against somebody like fucking Valentina. No, sweetheart. No. She'll dismantle you. You're not ready. But the last little thing that I want to mention real quick here before we dig into the food of the episode here. The only fucking prelim fight that I was genuinely excited about for this weekend was officially pulled from the card as of today. Andrew Sanchez versus Marvin Vettori has been pulled from this weekend's card. Andrew Sanchez has come down ill and has been hospitalized. Hope he gets better. Speedy return. Sorry, Marvin, we don't get to see you on the card. It looks like they've said that they probably won't be able to find a last-minute replacement in time, so he'll most likely be given his show money and apologize too.
Yeah.
That sucks. That sucks because that was going to be a spectacular fucking fight.
Yeah, the rest of the prelims, not that fucking great. I mean, don't get me wrong. The featured prelim bout's not bad, but the rest of them, for the most part, are fucking trash. But we'll get to those in a minute. There was one other thing, if you didn't have it in your notes, that I did want to talk about.
Absolutely, go right ahead.
What were your thoughts on Bellator's main event, Bader and Czech Congo, the fucking stoppage with the eye poke?
I'm a little torn. Chuck Congo said, I can't see. I can't see. He told the doctor, I can't see. And as a fight fan, you want to see a guy give a little bit of time and then get a chance to get back in there, especially in a fucking title fight like that. You want to give a guy the benefit of the doubt. But as a hardcore fan, you know that when that doctor's in there, if you want that fight, you do everything you fucking can to convince him that you're good. If you look back at the Cowboy Tony fight, Cowboy literally got up off the stool and chased the doctor across the octagon, yelling, "Come on, doc, I can see, I'm fine, come on." Cowboy wanted to keep going, and his eye was physically closed. Chuck Congo took one and told the doctor flat out, I can't see. I get that it's not a win. I'll put it this way. I'm glad it's a no contest instead of a disqualification.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy with it ending that way.
No, I was pretty perturbed by this because I don't think it was from the thumb that he couldn't see.
I don't either.
It was that clean the swelling that was around his eye from getting cracked. Look, you couldn't see because of that. Don't get me wrong. The eye poke, to be honest, this is one of the few rules in MMA that I don't like, the eye poke thing. An eye poke should be like fucking nut shot.
Yeah.
Give the guy 5 minutes to recover.
5 minutes and a warning if it's unintentional.
Yeah, if it's unintentional, give them a warning, fucking 5 minutes to recover, gain their vision back. Because look, sometimes, yeah, you get poked in the eye hard enough, you can't see. I get it. I've been down that road. I've been poked in the eye where it's that hard. That's something they need to change the rules on that, because I think that's a really poor thing. Because look, eye pokes happen when you have open finger gloves. Unfortunately, look, it doesn't matter how many times you tell fighters, keep your fingers curled up if your hand's extended. It's not always going to happen. It comes like this. And then when they're in those close, tight grappling situations like they were in this fight,
your instinct is to open your fucking hands up.
Yeah. And depending on what he was doing, and his fist was actually closed when that happened. It just fucking accidentally happened. So, okay, the accident, stand him back up, give him 5 minutes.
Let him recover.
Have the doctor check him after he's been given time.
I agree. Give him 5 minutes, then let the doctor.
Then send the doctor in to check him. If he says he's all good at the end of that 5 or whenever he feels he's good, send that doctor in there, let him check him, get him back to fighting. I don't think you necessarily needed to put him in the same position, but you could at least give him the benefit of the doubt to stand up and go, okay, look, accidental eye poke. Here, take your time, recover.
Right.
I think it's just it was a terrible situation because Bader obviously was going to win that fight at that point.
Yeah, he had it fucking hands down.
There was no way Congo was getting up from that. He had got caught too many times up to that point.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see it was a no contest, not a disqualification, because that would have been fucking bogus. But it was less than 1 round in, so they had to call it a no contest, which was fucking fantastic. Had it been like the second or third or fourth round.
Yeah, if that had been a 4th round eye poke,
that would have been a disqualification. Yeah, and that would have been one of those ones where I'd have been like, yeah, no, fuck you.
Yeah, that would have been a way worse situation than it ended up being.
It really sucks is that was Bader's first heavyweight title defense?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. That was my biggest problem with that, is that they counted that as a Bader title defense and then let him talk shit and say that he's going to dominate both divisions still after that performance.
To be honest, I think they need to run that back as soon as fucking Congo is completely healed up because Bader didn't touch. Run it back and give him 2 months. Because to be honest, 2 months should be more than enough.
Mitrione Karatanov, the same fucking thing. Bullshit happened early in the first round. You can't call it a definitive fucking win. Give him a couple months to heal up. Run that same fucking fight back. We saw a hell of a lot more excitement out of fucking Karatanov Mitrione the second time, aside from the mouthpiece incident, than we did in the first fucking 38 seconds we did the first time before the nut shot from hell.
I'm just going to keep spitting my mouthpiece out. That was the stupidest shit I've ever seen. But anyway, neither here nor there.
Right.
Yeah, those types of situations, run it back right away. In fact, if Bader is half of a decent human being right now, he'll go, you know what? Yeah, let's run it back. I don't want the fight to end like that because nobody wants a fight to end like that.
No.
Not any fighter. But I don't know if they're going to give him that shot again because although Coker is a lot better than Dana. Dana would be like, no, you were getting your ass whipped. Sorry, dude.
Well, and there's even more complexity to that situation as well, because originally Scott Coker said that he was only signing Czech Congo to that one fight deal, and then the next thing you know, he's getting the title shot at Bader. So was it a multi-fight contract, or was that another potential one fight, get the title and run situation? I feel like Coker might have him on a multi-fight contract right now. So,
and being as it's a no contest, are they going to count that on his contract? Probably not.
Exactly.
Because there's probably a clause in there that says if it's a no contest, that doesn't count on your contract.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that whole situation shakes out over there. I think it's going to be definitely interesting to watch.
Now that I've said my piece about that, I feel better now. That was the one thing I did kind of want to talk about because it was kind of a bullshit fucking ending to that fight where the fight could have been ended within 30 seconds from that point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Or could have given him 5 minutes and then we could have had a 5-round fucking war.
Yeah.
There's every possibility for both sides, but we'll never fucking know now at this point. Unless Bader's got the balls to actually run it back like a decent fucking sportsman.
And I hope he does. I really do.
I do too. I want to see that actual full fucking battle. Same way I wanted to see Karatanov versus Mitrione. And, that's a perfect example of keep fucking close track of your goddamn mouthpiece. If you got a good mouthpiece, don't let it get fucking lost. Keep it fucking with you so you don't end up with a last-minute replacement mouthpiece like Mitrione did, and it kept flying out of his mouth and cost him an ass whooping. And even he said it's not the mouthpiece's fault. He did everything he was supposed to. The mouthpiece was doing what it was supposed to.
But it is what it is.
Right? But that being said, that will bring us into the meat and potatoes of this particular episode, the main reason that we are talking here this evening. Saturday's upcoming UFC Vancouver Cerrone versus Gaethje card. This is an interesting card, I'll say, top to bottom. Not a lot of big names per se, but a lot of interesting fights to watch and a lot of relevant fights in their divisions, along with a little bit of fluff, as we've, unfortunately had to grow accustomed to, but minimal, I will say, minimal fluff in this situation here. The fluff in this case is all still fairly relevant to a certain degree, but we'll get into that here in just a second. So we'll start right out the gate at the tippity top with the prelims. Holy skippity shit, these prelims are full of feisty little guys. With the exception of the premier prelim fight, it is all 135, 145, and 155 guys on this whole fucking prelim card. That being said, every prelim fight has a decent potential for some excitement because these are all little guys. On the opposite side of that same coin, there's not going to be a lot of knockout potential. There's not going to be a lot of big striking battles in these prelims because these are all fairly little guys. And pretty much all of these little guys that are opening the prelims here are all mainly wrestlers and grapplers. There are some strikers. There are a couple of, true mixed martial arts practitioners with decent striking. But for the most part, your prelims are going to be a bunch of little guys wrestling for lack of a better term. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a second here to talk about the premier prelim fight. This particular situation, the heavyweights fighting against all the little guys on the fucking prelim card. This is going to be the battle of Marcin Tybura versus Augusto Sakai. Now, I'm not going to say that this is a bad matchup, but this isn't going to be very exciting. Sakai just lost to Herman, and then he got a squeaky close decision win over Andrei Arlovsky, which, to be honest, these days isn't really fucking hard to do. Tybura, on the other hand, isn't exactly, as Dana would say, a needle mover. The guy's got potential. He's got strength. He's got decent foot movement, but he's a little clunky still. He's still fairly early on in his UFC career. He's still got a lot to learn, but he's trying to get there. In this situation, it almost feels like Sakai is kind of a glorified soup can. Like, he's been in some big matches, but none of them really have been worth mentioning. He hasn't had any real big wins. I feel like in this situation, they're kind of throwing Tybura fucking a soup can bone to try and get himself a little bit of fucking oomph and maybe get him a little bit of attention. And I think he's going to be able to do that. I don't really think Sakai has enough of what it takes to get past Tybura. If Tybura can get his shit together and get a little bit more fluid. He's got strength, he's got power, he's got decent striking, but he's a little predictable, he's a little clunky. So we'll have to keep him tuned.
Yeah, this one, for lack of better terms for me, this is the bottom of the heavyweight class that are not up-and-comers fighting. Because, to be honest, neither one of them have done anything spectacular that warrants them being on the main card, which is why they're the feature prelim bout. And don't get me wrong, this is a good spot for this kind of fight.
Absolutely.
And I'm okay with these types of things. But on the same side of that, I'm looking at it going, why is this fight not earlier in the prelims? Don't get me wrong, I remember at a point they used to go little guys, bigger guys, biggest guys. They don't obviously do that shit anymore because now nothing makes sense in the world, and
right.
God forbid we do that anymore. But to be honest, this is just going to be luck of the draw. This one is a fucking coin flip, in my opinion, on who's going to edge who out. And I don't even think we'll see a finish out of this fight. I think it's going to end up going to decision because neither one of these guys are known for devastating knockout power. Neither one of them are known as submission specialists.
And there's a reason these guys are 14 and 15 in heavyweight. They're literally both barely ranked. This is them both trying to either get a foothold or slip out of the numbers.
And that's about it too. And don't get me wrong, if one of them does do something fucking phenomenal, where they get a fucking amazing knockout or just run the shit out of the other guy, yeah, then they deserve that next step up in competition. But so far in both of their careers in the UFC, neither one of them have showed that. This could be that potential fight that both of them need to show what they can actually do and that they've actually gotten better. But to be honest, this is a coin flip. I'm not going to pick a winner on this. I don't see it getting finished. It's going to end up going to decision in my eyes.
Yeah, I think it very well could as well. I still think even in that situation, I don't really see Sakai doing enough. I think even if it does go to decision, I think Tybura is still going to take it, but I don't think that he's going to get a big knockout. I think it's more than likely going to be a stoppage or he's going to take it on points. But the prelims, not terribly exciting, but with a fight night, you don't generally tend to expect them to be too terribly exciting. So we will just jump right along to the meat and potatoes of this particular episode, the main card itself. And for that, we are going to start right out with one of my predictions for potential fight of the night. Right up at the top of the fucking card, Misha Cirkunov versus Jimmy Crute. This is a fucking battle of two very fit, very large strikers that are dangerous from all over the place. Jimmy Crute is still that undefeated young fucking prospect coming out of Australia with fucking just lightning quick fucking hands and one-shot power, realistic one-shot power. But he's a little green, and we've seen him get worked a little bit in being so green, but that one-shot power has saved him so far. The issue is Misha Cirkunov is a fucking beast. He's a whole different kind of fucking monster. He can take you to the ground. He can take you on the feet. If you want to get technical, he can get fucking technical. He's quick. He's fluid. He's got a good fight IQ, and Jimmy Crute is fucking new. He's green to the game. He's strong, but he's green to the game. And I think this is going to be a situation where Jimmy Crute is just going to bite off a little too much for that mouth of his to be able to swallow. I think Misha Cirkunov is just a little too strong, and he's a little too well-rounded for a guy as green as Jimmy Crute. And I think the guy is just, he's got a great future ahead of him, absolutely, but I think he's just a little too trigger happy for his own good at this point. And I think against a guy like Misha, that's a bad fucking move. I think Misha puts him to sleep in the second round. I think Jimmy takes his first L home this weekend.
Huh. I don't know that I can wholeheartedly agree with that statement. And it's not because Jimmy Crute isn't green. He is definitely green. You can see it in the way he fights. However, that kid has heart for fucking days, and we've seen it already put on display. And with that one-punch knockout power, there is that very strong possibility that he can weather that early storm and come out on top of this. My question on this is, in Cirkunov, how does he come back after that loss to Johnny Walker? Where Johnny Walker fucking dismantled him. That's a big question that I have here. Look, does he come back as the same fighter we've seen him as before, where he just fucking cock strong and just goes out there and manhandles him? I don't know. It's going to depend, because that was a pretty rough loss against Walker. And, of course, Walker's dumbass injured himself in the post-fight, but that was neither here nor there. I don't know that I can. I think this might be that chance for Jimmy Crute to see a guy coming off of a loss who is ranked and get his shot up into the ranked division. Now, with him being green on the other side of that, though, Cirkunkov's been around a little bit longer than him. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. Long enough to know the ins and outs. And so I think it could go Cirkunkov's way as well, but I can't say that definitively, because I really think Jimmy Crute he's got way more heart than people are giving him credit for. And I have a feeling that this is going to be his time to shine, to show that 10-0 record didn't get here for no reason, 10-0. Now, do I think he's going to continue up the rest of the ranks in the 205 division undefeated? Fuck no. But this might be one more on his belt. Although if he's going to win it, it's going to be via knockout, and it would probably be in the late second, early third round, because he's going to have to weather the early storm of Misha fucking coming in there with all of his fucking just cock diesel fucking all that power. But I think it could, in theory, in my eyes, go either way, but I think most of it's going to come down to how does Cirkunov come off of that loss to Johnny Walker.
Absolutely, because that was, to his credit, Misha has had his fair share of losses, and he's never really taken them too much to heart. He's always been, for the most part, a guy who will take a loss and internalize it and then take it into fucking camp with him, take it into the gym with him, and improve on what he was lacking in that particular fight. That's one of the reasons I'm such a big fucking fan of his, is that he almost makes a point to, not get broken by a loss. He uses it like you're supposed to as a learning experience. Find out where the holes in your fucking game were, go back to the gym, work on those fucking holes, strengthen your overall game, and become a more well-rounded, better fighter. And I think that's kind of what we've seen over the years with Misha here, is that he's had some big losses. There's no denying that at all. But for the most part, every time he's had a big loss, like the one he just took to Johnny here, he's almost always come back better because of it. I have faith that this is what we're going to see coming up this weekend again. I think true to his pattern of behavior, if you will, I think we're going to see a better Misha this time than we saw against Johnny, and I think Jimmy's going to be in trouble. But Jimmy absolutely has every fucking possibility of giving that back around because, like you said, that 10-0 is not there for no fucking reason. I'm huge on this fucking kid as well. This is one of those conflicting matchups for me. I like Jimmy. I wouldn't be mad at seeing him win. It's just like they're putting him up against one of my dudes, man. Like, I'm a fucking Misha fan, and I don't want to see him lose, least of all to another fucking guy that I like. But on that same coin, if I've got to see Misha lose, I wouldn't be mad at seeing it done to Jimmy Crute, so long as Jimmy Crute doesn't become a total asshole on the mic afterwards. Don't be a douchebag. I'll be okay with my prediction being wrong. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough. I can't argue with you on that
one. I'm willing to make some fucking consolations here. So from there, we'll move along to the next fight that I think is kind of the inverse of the one that we just talked about, where Misha and Jimmy is going to be potentially the fight of the fucking night. I think there's going to be big fucking fireworks. I think that's going to be a great matchup no matter which way it fucking unfolds. This one's kind of the opposite of that fight. It could have had that kind of potential maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago. But at this point, Uriah Hall versus Antonio Carlos Jr. just isn't really an exciting fight to me. Both of these gentlemen came into the UFC with incredible fucking hype behind them and huge potential to become a big fucking star. And both of them have kind of fizzled the fuck out like a bottle rocket. Neither one of them really did anything big with the opportunities they had, and both of them have had significant fucking losses. Old Shoeface has eaten fucking leather a couple of times now in notable fashion. The problem is both of them have pretty significant highlight reels as well. And the former part here being that most of Uriah's highlights are pre-UFC, because Uriah Hall used to be a dangerous motherfucker. And this is one of those situations where we saw a guy who came to the UFC on a fucking, mad buildup, and you expected to see him come in and just tear through the fucking UFC and just be a, dominant champion. And he fucking tripped over his own shoelaces as soon as he got in the fucking door, and he just has never been able to get his feet underneath him. Shoeface is the same fucking way. The guy came in as, a big BJJ prospect, one of the fucking top contenders. These guys so well-rounded, and he really fucking isn't. He's kind of a cocky, bouncy, skinnier Mike Perry, for lack of a better fucking comparison. He's going to try and throw with you. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be really technical. He'll go with you anywhere you want to take the fucking fight, but it's not because he's going to win there. It's because, fuck you, that's why. There's something to be said about guys like that, but that's not how you get to a championship position. You're never going to be a fucking dominant champion with a fuck you attitude in the ring. You have to be smarter than that in the world of fighting. It's 2019. This ain't slobber knocker days of old anymore. Like, you've got to be intelligent in your fighting nowadays. And I just don't feel that old Shoeface has it in the cabeza to get his fucking process through against a guy like Uriah Hall. I realistically think both of these gentlemen are I don't want this to sound as insulting as it's going to, but kind of is, and it kind of has to be. I think that both of these gentlemen are befitting of a Bellator championship. I think that either one of these gentlemen could go over to the competition they would have in this division in Bellator and have a real good run. But I feel like against the competition in the UFC right now, neither one of these gentlemen are going to live up to the expectation that they initially came in with. And I think it's just going to get kind of embarrassing, for lack of a better term, to just watch them grind out in mediocrity and never really get above middle of the fucking pack. So that being said, not soup cans entirely, but I think Uriah Hall still has just enough in the tank to take this on a decision. I don't think we see a finish in this fight at all. I think this goes to judges, but I think Hall can outpoint old Shoeface.
You about nailed that right on the head for me. The only other thing I wanted to add to that, you're right, both of them came in with really high fucking expectations, and they both turned into supernovas. If you don't know what a supernova is, go look it up in the dictionary. I'm not going to explain it to you. But they both just kind of fizzled out. Don't get me wrong, they're not to be honest, right now, I'll say it. My eyes, they're both fucking gatekeepers of the 185 right now. We're having a gatekeeper match, to be quite honest, because Uriah Hall obviously not going to get back to where he was. Because there was a point where it looked like he could possibly run the division. On the other hand, Antonio Carlos Jr. here, he never really got off the ground. That fucking rocket was not fueled for flight. It came in with a huge hype train, but at this point, they're gatekeepers. Why are we having a gatekeeper match? I don't know, other than maybe to remove one from the division rankings. That's my only thought on it, because to be honest, neither one of them have much to gain from this fight. Other than the fact of, yes, I'm still here and I'm still mediocrity at best. And no offense to either one of them. They've made it here, but at this point, as stacked as the 185 division is right now,
yeah, no shit.
That's a tough fucking nut to crack, and neither one of them have what it takes to get to the top of the division at this point. So I'm pretty sure you're right. I think this is going to end up being a points fight. Who can outpoint who? And Uriah Hall, I think, is just a better point fighter than Antonio Carlos Jr. is, period. And it'll come down to a fucking decision. I doubt either one of these guys finish it. Don't get me wrong, you're 185, so there is always that possibility of knockout at this weight class. But
right.
Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't. It's going to be a decision, probably be Uriah Hall. And it's probably not going to be a definitive decision either. It's probably going to be like one of those 29-28 fucking decisions.
Right.
It might even be split.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that as well. But moving along from there, we're actually going to skip the next fight. I don't think this Michael Pereira fight is even worth talking about, and the UFC website still doesn't even have his opponent's fucking picture available, like he's a still not unlocked character on the fucking video game. So we're just going to disregard some fluff stuck in the middle of the main card. And it'll talk a little bit here about probably the weirdest fight on this card, maybe one of the weirder fights that we've seen in recent UFC events. And I was actually laughing about this last night with my wife while I was doing some research. On the UFC website, to their credit, they do have both of these gentlemen's photographs. However, the fight we're talking about here is Jeff Hughes versus Todd Duffy. Now, the reason this is an interesting fight is because Todd Duffy has not been in the octagon since mid-2015. The UFC's website has not updated his picture since 2015, pixelation included. It looks like you took his fucking Mike Tyson punch-out picture and slapped it on the UFC website, 8-bit and all. Little Mac in the corner, fucking ready to go. Like, he is straight up Minecrafty in his fucking profile picture. And you would think they could have taken 10 fucking minutes and taken a new picture of the poor guy. But
or
no.
They could have at least put next to him, watch out for his tiger punch.
Right? Oh, but no, this is an interesting fight because Todd Duffy, like I said, has not been in the octagon since 2015. The last time that we saw Todd Duffy in the octagon in 2015, he was properly and thoroughly getting his ass handed to him by one Frank Mir. That's how far this division has come since Todd Duffy was still a relevant name within it. The problem comes here is that we've got a 3-2 Todd Duffy who hasn't been in the octagon in 3.5, almost 4 fucking years against a fucking soup can. Flat out, point blank, no sugarcoating. Jeff Hughes is a fucking UFC soup can. They are quite literally throwing Todd Duffy a bone to try and get himself back into a semi-relevant status because, as we've seen in multiple cases before, UFC fighters who take time off and come back with a great performance tend to build their following much, much more rapidly than the guys who will grind it out, even as weird as that may be. It feels like this is the UFC giving Todd Duffy very much a silver platter with a soup can on it. And I think that's exactly how this is going to play out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, and I don't think it's going to be technical, but I feel like this is going to be us seeing Todd Duffy quite literally swinging the ring rust off of himself, like the Tin Man struggling to get loose after you put a little fucking daub on his shoulders and you let him off the fucking wobble point on the yellow brick road. I think this is one of those situations where we're going to see Todd Duffy kind of slowly come to life and then almost get his balance, and then the fight's going to I don't think we're going to see a knockout. I don't think this is going to be a real puncher's brawl. I don't think it's going to be a lot of fireworks, but it will be interesting to see how Duffy reacts in his reemergence in the UFC. But I think this is going to be a situation where we're going to get a semi-snooze fest. It's going to go to decision. Duffy's going to take it.
I'm not going to lie on this one. When I first seen Todd Duffy's name on the fight list, for a second I thought there was a different new Todd Duffy in town. Because it had been that fucking long. And then I went and I was like, oh, wait a minute.
I was the same exact way. I was like, oh, we got a new Todd Duffy. And then I saw one of the little promo videos where like the return of, and I was like, oh shit, no, it's really still him. Oh, he's back.
I didn't even watch the promo video. That's where I went back and I was like, is there really a new Todd Duffy? So I had to go and look. I'm like, oh no, same guy.
Yep.
And he was mediocre at best when he was fighting. And the game has changed a lot in the last fucking, how many years now? 4 fucking years. 2015. That's changed a lot in the last 4 years. Exponentially grown and changed in the last 4 years. Don't get me wrong. Heavyweights, not the biggest change compared to some of the other weight divisions, but still, it's changed a lot. So I can't consider this a soup can. At this point, Todd Duffy is probably the soup can in this case because he's been out of it for so long. And to be honest, when he was mediocre at best then, coming into a soup can fighter now, this is soup can, and they're just putting it on the main card because Todd Duffy is a known name from fucking 5 years ago. Don't get me wrong, he had a couple really good fights in the UFC. But then to watch him get dismantled 5 years ago by a Frank Mir who was starting to really go to shit, that doesn't say a whole lot for you. That's all I'm saying. Nothing against Frank Mir. There was a point where he was the fucking man.
Just not when he beat Todd Duffy.
Yeah, just not when he beat Todd Duffy, because that was well after the fact of somebody pulling a horseshoe out of his ass and beating him over the head with it. Then drinking a Budweiser. Her Coors Light. Oh, fuck. Yeah, this is a soup can situation. I think Todd Duffy can pull it out, but I don't know if he will just because the game's changed. Even at heavyweight, it's changed. But we'll see. I mean, hopefully he's been training his ass off for it, and hopefully he comes back and looks good because I enjoyed his fights, even though he was a mediocre fighter at best. But we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't wish him ill by any stretch of the imagination, but like you said, he was absolutely a mediocre at best fighter when he was in his prime. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out now that he's come back and is pretty much fucking soup can status, going up another can of fucking Super Rio. So now that, interestingly enough, will bring us to everyone's favorite news segment that we do, the Casual Corner, where we bring in the casual observer, the recreational fan, not as much of a hardcore person as TJ and I, our wonderful friend here, Miss LUMI, for her casual opinions.
Well, what? I don't know, guys. See.
What do you think, Miss LUMI? What you thinking?
I'm thinking I'm still resetting the screen size. Hold on. Technical difficulties over here.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah, the man behind the curtain normally is doing a lot of random shit. Anywho, now that we're all resized and everything, I'm just gonna go to the co-main event. Nikita has the exact birthday as me. March 7th, 1992. It kind of makes you take stock at where you are in life when you see somebody this fucking successful at the age of me. I kind of feel like a failure. But getting more technical. Let's get a little bit more technical, shall we?
Wait till you're older than them.
Oh, I don't want to.
Yeah, it only gets weirder from that point.
Honestly, that's the biggest perk I had there. It says that he's inconsistent with his fighting. So, just because we have the same birthday, I am going to root for him, of course. I gots to. Plus, he's Russian. Russians are badass normally. Then we got Rover over here. He's 39. That's going to be quite a little age difference right there. I just... His knowledge could come in on top, but at the same time, it seems like Rover's been fighting longer and has a pretty similar record compared to Nikita, and that's interesting to me. So while he might be inconsistent, they have pretty similar amount of work done so far. Then I was looking at the stats to decide how I wanted the fight to go. Nikita doesn't normally get a knockout, but I'm really gonna hope he gets a knockout. Please just get this knockout. Or get a submission. I'll take either. You have 58% submission. I'll take that.
Got a submission game. Nikita absolutely has a submission game.
As long as you get a good couple fight moves in where you make him kind of look dizzy, that's what I look forward to. Just give me my show and then knock him out or submit him. That's how I want it to go. I'm hoping that Glover's experience won't give him too much of an advantage, because he did win his last 2 games. Or matches.
He did. He did.
He's a little bit shorter, but he's also a little bit wiser. So, I'm voting for Nikita. Still, I feel like it's gonna backfire, but hey. And then honestly, when you go to the main card was just confusing, because I have heard plenty of references towards the Cowboy, and this might be another fight that I actually get to witness, to experience it for myself. So this might be something big for me. This will be my first time seeing Cowboy. Let's see.
It's always a show.
He's a kickboxer. Oh, when I was looking at his highlight reels, it seemed like a lot of them are a kick to daze you, followed up by a pounding.
Yep. He is a badass with that head kick combo. He mixes head kicks in with all kinds of strikes and fucks people up.
So, if I don't get what I want from Nikita, I hope I get it from Cowboy, because it seems like Cowboy is notorious for that little kick and pound. Oh, look at me, I'm so dizzy. I'm on the ground. So I'm really looking forward to that. However, when I was looking up the highlights for Dustin, this one move that he tried to pull off really intrigued me. Like, motherfucker was against the fence, getting somewhat kind of beaten up, and all of a sudden just like somersaults off to the side. And I'm like, what the fuck did you just do?
He threw an Imanari roll. She was very confused. I had to explain how that works. But yes, the clip of him throwing that Imanari roll out of nowhere is almost like America's Funniest Home Video caliber shit, because he looks like the fucking toddler in beginner jiu-jitsu class learning how to roll, and quite literally just rolling more than actually doing the Imanari.
Yeah, it looked like there was absolutely no justification for that to pop up. He was like, oh, I'm on fire. Stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah, had that been Ryan Hall, he had the setup and he would have fucking broken your ankle in 3 spots. But Justin Gaethje ain't Ryan Hall, and Ed Minari did not look good.
Yeah, that didn't look very successful. That's why I was like, what the fuck is this? This looks like a side somersault. But it was interesting. It was very intriguing. I want to see a master do it now. Like, right. I want to see a master do it properly, please. I mean, if you can do it this match and do it off properly, if you're somehow watching this, you'll have a fan. You'll have a fan. If you can't pull it off, we'll talk later.
I want to send you highlights of some old Pride fights where that happened quite a bit. Oh.
When I was looking at Justin's fighting style too, it seems like he has, like, for his highlight reels, a lot of them were old, I think. I think they were showing me, yeah. They were showing me, like, yeah, he started wrestling when he was 4 years old. So I was like, oh wow, if they're really padding this highlight reel with him being young, what does he have when he's older? If they're padding this with young footage. So, I don't know. He's on a 2-winning streak. That's all I have for him. Cowboy, let's see. Kickboxer, former kickboxer. Oh, wait, Justin. Did I already mention this? He does a mixture of, like, occasionally kicking you, getting you dizzy, and then punching. And then he can do, it seems like he does both. Like, he can get you with his foot and then punch you, or he's just going to start punching the shit out of you. So, if Cowboy is a one-trick pony, Justin has that advantage. But I haven't seen Cowboy. A lot of his highlight reels are just him kicking people. So
that's one of his biggest tools, because most people assume that Cowboy's going to stand and box with you, and they forget that he's a fucking world-class kickboxer with one of the best in the world kickboxers as his fucking striking coach, Joe Schilling. His fucking kicking game is next level.
And then, let's see, Donald gets a good hit with leg, then starts pounding. I already mentioned that. Kicky dude mentioned that. Is 36-12.
Yep.
I'm rooting for Cowboy so far. I'll change my rooting if that dude pulls off that somersault. If I see that within the first round, I'll start rooting for him.
I would fucking love to see Gaethje pull an Imanari roll against Cowboy in round 1. I would absolutely lose my mind. I would love it.
If that shit happens, I will eat my goddamn underwear.
Yep, so that's casual opinion. I'm rooting for Cowboy unless he manages that little somersault.
Fair enough. Good calls on both fights, I think.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So that will bring us down to our breakdowns here, our predictions for the co-main and main event, starting right out with the potatoes of the meat and potatoes of this particular episode here. The co-main one, Glover Teixeira versus Nikita Krylov. This is a hell of a matchup. All the way across the fucking board. This is a hell of a matchup. Before we get into this, when I was first doing my notes, and I don't know why, it has no fucking rhyme or reason, but somehow every single time I see Nikita Krylov's name, I think of Misha Serkinov's face, and vice versa. I don't know why. There's nothing has happened. I have nothing to relate to that fucking correlation. I have no justification for it. For whatever fucking reason, every time I see Nikita Krylov's name, I think of Misha Serkinov's face, and vice versa.
Could it possibly be because they fought before?
And they have both fought several other people in common before as well. No. But that aside, I thought that was just an interesting little tidbit. But that aside, this is an interesting matchup. These guys are literally a decade and change apart in age. Nikita Krylov is a young, in his 20s, badass with a ton of experience, where you got on the other side of that coin and aging on the back nine, as it were, Glover Teixeira, with almost the exact same number of fights in his long stoic career as the younger Krylov here. I think this is one of those situations where the UFC is, because Glover has been so instrumental in so many great fights throughout the years, they're trying to keep giving him chances. But realistically, if you look at the ranking of his opponents they're slowly dropping further and further down the ladder. He's slipping into that gatekeeper position here. And I think that this is another step in that potential progression down towards we're going to let you go situation. I love Glover Teixeira. That dude has been in there for some motherfucking wars. But he has eaten some serious fucking damage in the process. And that gentleman has some fucking extensive road mileage on him. That dude is 39 years old and looks 50 plus easily. He is full gray and very, very worse for wear. That being said, Glover's no fucking slouch. Glover still has a very, very well-rounded tool bag. He still has a very good fight IQ, and he's still got great movement for the most part. But then you look across the octagon, and you look at Nikita Krylov, and you look at a young man with a great fight IQ, the same amount of fucking experience as the fucking decade-plus veteran, his opposite. You look at the fucking IQ on this young man that's comparable evenly, I would say, if not maybe a little better than a fucking seasoned vet like Glover. This could be a very bad night for Glover. And I'm not saying that it's going to be an easy matchup by any sense of the imagination. Glover is never anyone to be looked past, least of all by a young up-and-comer. But Nikita is only really an up-and-comer in the UFC standards. He's got as much professional experience as most of the fucking top 5 guys in all of the fucking divisions. He's been there. He's done that at a young fucking age. So you got to think that fucking fight IQ developed so early on. He's got such a good set of tools with him. He's so fluid in his striking. The problem is his chin tends to hang a little bit when he moves, and it gets him caught sometimes, especially against a guy with a great striking pedigree like Glover Teixeira is known to have. That being said, Glover does not have the best gas tank. Nikita can run you fucking ragged real quick. I think this is going to be one of those situations where we might actually see a big fight like this go to decision as well. I don't think that Glover has what it takes to put Nikita to sleep, but I also don't quite think Nikita has the tools to put Glover away, save for maybe a late third round stoppage from punches. I don't think this is going to be a situation where we're going to see a submission, much as we might like to. I don't think we're going to see a knockout in this situation on either side of that fence, but I think it's going to be a great fucking matchup, and I think it's going to really let us know whether Glover still has what it takes and the UFC is justified in keeping him around and still throwing him bona fide legitimate fights like this, or if Nikita's on his way up the fucking ladder and it's time to send Glover over to Bellator and let him fight with fucking all of the other gentlemen from his class of fighters that have now predominantly become Bellator fighters. I think regardless of if it's via stoppage or if it goes to the judges itself, I think this is Nikita's fight. I think Glover is at that point where hats off to you for what you've done for us, but you just can't fucking hang with these kids anymore. The game is starting to progress and it's starting to leave you in the dust, and it's time to bow out gracefully. I think this is the point where Glover starts to really slide downhill, and I think Nikita is going to springboard off of him and start to get a little fucking steam behind him.
All right. Couple counterpoints here to this. I don't think you're giving Glover as much credit as he deserves on this. He's won his last 2 fights in UFC. He's on a 2-fight win streak right now. One was in January, one was in April. So we're looking at a 3rd fight from Glover just in 2019 alone. Now, that's not to say that that was the best Glover Teixeira we've ever seen, but he looked dominant in both of those fights. In fact, was the one in January where Crenshudo was on the main card there. That was a first-round KO. He still has bomb power. His fight IQ is still there. He obviously can still get it done. However, you're right. He does have a ton of fucking road mileage on him. A ton. He looks like he's been drugged through the mud a couple times. And he has. With all due respect, that man has been around longer than fucking Nikita Krylov's thought about fighting. The thing here with Nikita is the way he hangs his chin out there, and with Glover's fucking fight IQ and one punch knockout ability, that's a deadly combination for Nikita. Yes, his gas tank is way better than Glover's. Do I think he can outlast him to go into the third round with him? Yeah, of course I do. Do I necessarily think it's going to happen? No. And not because he's already, look, Nikita already has the record to prove that he definitely is where he belongs. However, that way he hangs his chin out in the open, that kid is going to get him in a lot of trouble, especially when you're looking at a lot of these 205ers that are known knockout artists and know how to find the chin. Glover is one of those people. He's always been one of those people. This could end up being a bad night for Nikita Krylov. However, play devil's advocate on myself. Krylov, he's a different kind of animal. He's young. Yes, he's got the fights in there, but he's also got some road mileage already. And you can tell. He's won one of his last 2 fights in the UFC, if I remember correctly. And he does have a gas tank and he can wear on people. But with him, the only concern I have really is he does not tuck his chin, and he's willing to go in there and bang with somebody and not tuck his chin, which is where you've seen him get in trouble in the past. Yes, his fight IQ has got to be up there now because he's, 26 professional fights at this point, I think. 31, excuse me. I didn't give him quite enough credit. My apologies. But either way, he's got the fight IQ there, but obviously he doesn't have a complete fight IQ. Because if he had a really good fight IQ, he'd know to keep his goddamn chin tucked at all fucking times. Just saying. That's a basic thing you're taught in fucking kickboxing 101. Fucking karate 101. Boxing 101. Keep your goddamn chin tucked. I think part of that might be the young, dumb, fucking just I'm Superman still because I'm in my 20s attitude, which that can be very dangerous. On the other side of that, coming in with that kind of attitude can also be very helpful to yourself because it doesn't make you fear what could happen. Do I see this fight going to decision? No, not on either parts. Nikita can knock people out. We've seen it. Sure, knock people out. What I think this is going to come down to is can Nikita Krylov weather the storm of Glover Teixeira before Glover's gas tank starts to start running on fumes towards the late second round, beginning of the third. If he can outlast that, he very well could win the fight on points. But if he can't, he's going to get knocked out or TKO'd, whatever you want to call it, and Glover ends up winning the fight. For my money on this one, just based on what we've seen out of Glover the last couple fights, I have to bank on Glover. Even though he's got the wear and tear and the road mileage, I have to bank on Glover for this one. And I think he gets it done with a knockout because of that high hanging chin. If I keep my chin up here, you're going to knock me out all day. That's just how that fucking works, especially when your fight IQ is that goddamn high and you've been around the game, you've watched it progress, you've progressed with it. And you've been in there with way better motherfuckers and come out on top than Nikita Krylov. But, I mean, it could go either way, but if I was to put money on somebody right now, it would be Glover. Probably late first round, middle of the second round at the latest. If he doesn't finish the fight by the middle of the second round, the fight ends up being Nikita Krylov's to win or to lose.
I can see that as well. And I absolutely agree with you. There's every possibility that being a young, dumb 20-year-old, he's going to end up with somebody's fingers in his mouth from a misaligned takedown attempt or something like that. It's stranger things have happened, right, RJ? But from there, we're going to move along and we're going to get to the meat and potatoes. That is the meat and potatoes of the meat and potatoes segment of our meat and potatoes here. The main event of the evening. Finally, a fucking main event that I can actually legitimately be excited about. We have not had one of those in several fucking UFC cards. So thankfully to the MMA deities, we have got one on this particular card. We have got a fucking slobber knocker in the making with this one, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus Justin Gaethje. Two of the most game fighters in the fucking division, as well as the UFC, as well as MMA as a whole. Both of these gentlemen have extensive fight careers going well beyond the UFC for both gentlemen. Championships for both gentlemen in previous organizations, though both never quite seeing gold in the UFC just yet. This fight, however, could change that. The winner of this particular battle could very well be the next number one contender behind Tony and Conor. That was too many words in my head. There is every possibility that either one of these gentlemen, with a spectacular, definitive performance, could leapfrog themselves to the next number one shot behind the Tony Conor fiasco that is still waiting to unfold. Both of these gentlemen have earned their right to the top of the stack. Gaethje has been steadily working in this division, while Cowboy, to his credit, has been bouncing back and forth between 155 and 170, but consistently fighting, kicking ass, and taking names all over the fucking board, save for a few very, very controversial or detrimental losses, or one big fuck up of a nose blow, costing him a little bit of momentum loss. Dad Cerrone has only lost one fucking fight, and that was on his own fuck up. Cowboy Cerrone, just to give you guys a little bit of an idea here, I sing his praises very highly, but there's a very good reason for that. So let me give you just a quick rundown, just for example's sake, just to let you guys know one of the reasons why I think so highly of Donald Cerrone. Just a quick little rundown of the awards and championships that Cowboy has under his belt, so you'll understand why I sing these praises so much. Dominion Warrior Muay Thai World Lightweight Championship, ISKA Colorado State Middleweight Championship, KDC Amateur Welterweight Championship, S1 Muay Thai US Lightweight Championship, UFC 6-time Fight of the Night record holder, 3-time Knockout of the Night holder, 2-time Submission of the Night holder, 7-time Performance of the Night holder. Currently holds the record for the most wins in UFC history, the most finishes in UFC history, the most post-fight bonuses in UFC history. Going into this fight is currently tied for most fights in UFC history, tied for most fights in a 12-month period in UFC history, holds the second most wins in UFC lightweight history, tied for second most finishes in lightweight history, holds the record for most knockdowns in UFC history, 5-time Fight of the Night winner, 5-time Fight of the Night awards for WEC, 2015 ESPN Fighter of the Year, 2009 MMAfighting.com Fighter of the Year, 2014 MMA Knockout of the Month for MMA Junkie, 2014 July Knockout of the Month against Jim Miller from MMA Junkie, 2009 Fighter of the Year Share Dog Award, 2008 Round of the Year Share Dog Award, 2009 Sports Illustrated Fighter of the Year, 2011 Breakthrough Fighter of the Year from World MMA Awards. That's just a quick scenario. I could go on for 5 more fucking minutes on the records and the resume stats that Cowboy Cerrone has. Granted, Justin Gaethje is no slouch. He has a very similar, although not quite as extensive resume He went in WBC. He went in, or I think he was in WBC. He was in World Series of Fighting. Justin Gaethje has held belts of his own. He also has had some of the greatest battles of strikers, literally standing toe-to-toe in the phone booth, swinging till someone falls the fuck out fights that the UFC has ever seen. The problem is Justin Gaethje is the Homer Simpson of UFC. He's big, he is dumb, but he is hard to stop. He leans his head forward and swings and will come at you until you physically put him to sleep every fucking time. And the problem with doing that is that he can absorb quite a bit of damage. He has got possibly the best chin in the UFC. He absolutely has the best chin at 155, in my opinion. Might have the best chin in the UFC for some of the fucking bombs that this kid has flat out just eaten and walked through. You absolutely have to tip your hat to him. But Dad Cerrone is a whole different beast. Cowboy Cerrone has been clearly kicking ass and taking names for well over a decade. But Dad Cerrone is motivated. Dad Cerrone is here for that fucking belt, and he's on a hell of a tear. With the exception of that Tony Ferguson fight where he was getting worked pretty fucking well and then blew his goddamn nose and puffed his eye up like a fucking balloon. A damn rookie mistake that he himself even said he should have fucking known better. Aside from that Ferguson fight, Cowboy is on an absolute fucking rip, roar, and tear straight up everyone in the fucking 155-pound division. And the biggest fight, in my opinion, that he put through recently to show you how much of a tear it was the guy who gave Khabib arguably his toughest fight, Al Iaquinta. And Cowboy definitively and discernibly dismantled Al Iaquinta. He stopped his wrestling. He outstruck him. He kicked the absolute shit out of him. He busted his fucking legs up. He busted his face up. With the exception of the one-round shit show that we saw from Cowboy against Tony, Cowboy has been that motherfucker. The problem is Justin Gaethje has slowly been just relentlessly wearing his way up the long hill of the division on the other side of that coin. He can take a fucking punch, and he's willing to, because he can hit you 3 times for every 2 that you hit him, and his 3 hit harder. That works great against a brawler, against a scrapper, against a wrestler, because, like Lumi said, he's been wrestling since he was a fucking elementary school kid. He's one of the most underrated wrestlers in the UFC, period, specifically in the 155 division. But he doesn't fucking use it. We have very rarely, if ever, seen him actually break out some of his legitimate world-class, high-caliber wrestling, excuse me. That's ultimately, in my opinion, one of the biggest flaws in Justin's game plan. He doesn't use the thing he is best at. He would rather Homer Simpson head down and come straight at you. And we've seen with Rick Story, we've seen with Alexander Hernandez, we've seen with Mike Perry. When you lean in and run down at Cowboy, he will fucking clip you for it, and you will pay severely. And I think that is exactly what we are going to see here. I like Justin Gaethje, but he is too fucking stubborn. He is too set in his ways. He's convinced that just coming at you and being relentless and leaning forward will be enough. And sometimes it is. But against a guy like Cowboy, it never will be. And I don't think it's going to be Saturday. I think Cowboy puts Gaethje to sleep early in the second. And I think it's going to be another highlight reel shot, just like Lumi was looking for here. I think we're going to see a high head kick. I don't think it's going to be the head kick that puts him out, but I think he's going to catch a head kick. It's going to wobble him, and Cowboy's going to fucking level him, and he's going to flatline him. That's what you have to do to stop Gaethje. That's also one of Cowboy's specialties. I think we see Dad Cerrone take home the victory and stick his fucking place at the top of the heap, established in stone.
Well, I don't have to talk about anybody's accomplishments here. That's fantastic. As much as I would have loved to have ran down that list, how about myself, or even Gaethje for that matter, which brings up one thing that you did miss about Gaethje. He was in one hell of a war with somebody who we were talking about earlier tonight. One Mr. Nick Newell.
I thought you might like to talk about that.
At least you left something for me to gnaw off the fucking bone there. But so those of you who don't know who Nick Newell is, but you do know who Justin Gaethje is, go watch that fucking fight and you'll understand why we're so hyped up on Nick Newell. But this fight, the only way I look at Justin Gaethje, he's the epitome of a brawler with a really good wrestling background who's never fucking used it. He's literally, I want to sit in a phone booth and trade. That's it. Because he knows he can take a punch. The dude has a fucking chin for fucking days. I would say what somebody in the comments says, but I don't want anybody to take that the wrong way. But he literally has one of the best chins in that division, period. However, there's one of my favorite combinations to watch in all of MMA coming out of fucking Donald Cerrone's corner. That's a 1-2 followed by a high kick, and that is one of his best fucking combinations. And he catches so many people with it, which generally leads up to people getting fucking TKO'd or sometimes KO'd with that high kick after the 1-2. Coming straight forward at Donald Cowboy Cerrone is a fucking miserable idea. I hope Justin Gaethje, just because I love this matchup so much because of what it is, and I'm a big fan of Justin Gaethje's. I really am. I really think it's going to depend on if he has changed his game plan of I'm just going to go forward like the fucking Terminator, or am I going to actually try to fight this smart? Am I going to try to take him down? This is the one fatal flaw that I've seen with Donald Cerrone on more than one occasion. If Gaethje has watched any film, hopefully he's been working on his liver kicks. Because that has been the one fatal flaw in fucking Donald Cerrone that I've seen more than one occasion. Liver kicks take him out rather easily. If that's the case and he's done his homework and he throws that liver kick and connects, there's a very good chance that Gaethje walks out with this. However, if it is the normal Gaethje of old of just go forward and blast people, it's not going to work. We watched Donald Cerrone systemically pick apart Mike Perry, which, whatever, it's aluminum Mike, but aluminum Mike is one of those kind of fighters where he will just keep coming forward. He picked apart Ally Quinta, who is 10 times the fighter fucking 10 times fighter than most of the people in the top 10 are. But it's, for me, it's going to come down to when that 1-2 high kick comes. Because it's going to be jab, cross, fucking high kick. Guaranteed that's what's going to do it. I think we do not see an end to this fight. We don't see it going into the 5th round. I have a feeling that he'll get Gaethje out of there no later than the middle of the 3rd. I mean, if it goes the other way around and Gaethje somehow managed to pull some shit off, hats off to him. Granted, I want to see Donald get that belt strapped around his waist. I really think he fucking screwed the pooch big time in taking that fight with Tony Ferguson. I've said it once, I'll say it again. He's taking every fight for him because that's the kind of person he is. Really screwed the pooch. He should have been fighting Khabib on this last fight, not fucking Dustin Poirier. Period. But it is what it is at this point. There's not a whole lot we can do about it at this point except for put another definitive win, another feather in the fucking cowboy hat, take him out, and see which one happens. I have a feeling that it's going to end up going the route of watching him KO Gaethje no later than the 3rd round. And I'm guaranteeing It's going to be a 1-2 head kick that does it. Mark my fucking words. Timestamp this video because when that shit happens, you can call me Mystic Mac for calling that motherfucker. So, no later than third round, 1-2 high kick. Guaranteed that's how it goes down.
I agree. I think it's going to be a bad night for Gaethje. I think he's a tough motherfucker. To his credit, he is absolutely a tough motherfucker, but he's not a thinking man's fighter. And I think against Cowboy, that's going to be an extreme, extreme detriment because Cowboy, for all the other things that he is an intelligent fighter. He doesn't just go in and swing and see what sticks. He game plans. He's got a great fucking corner that he listens to, and you can watch in his fights. He listens and responds to his corner in time, and he's got a great fucking corner to boot. I think Gaethje's a strong motherfucker. He's a tough dude. He's got a great fucking chin, but I don't think he's got what it takes to beat Cowboy this weekend. I think this is going to be a head kick victory. If not head kick victory, then the head kick's going to set up the fucking striking to finish it out.
I think the only thing that would make this better is after that happens, I hope Cerrone offers him a chance to come and train at the ranch. Because you know what? I think that could improve his fucking fight game.
Yeah, Cowboy's the type of guy that he absolutely would. As long as Gaethje's respectful after the fight's over, Cowboy's the type of dude that absolutely would say, hey, you know, we got a fucking open spot down at the ranch here. We got Joe fucking Schilling. We got tons of fucking pros that come out on a regular. We got a great fucking crew. Come get your shit straight, son.
Yeah. I think he would be the kind of guy that could turn him around. Like, to be honest, I know Cowboy is nowhere near done. You can tell he's fighting at way too high of a level. But that day when he finally quits, he's going to make one of the best fucking coaches in the goddamn world.
He already is. Cowboy Fight League is officially a fucking thing. They've already put on one event. They're getting ready to put on their next one either later this month or the beginning of next month, I believe, in Virginia. Cowboy Fight League is a thing. He's out there doing it. He's bringing prospects into the fucking world of mixed martial arts. Yep. And it's only going to get better once he's actually done fighting himself. I agree completely.
It's going to be a beautiful thing to see. And that man, I can't wait to follow his career wherever it goes from here on out. Although the next thing better be a fucking title shot.
Fucking hey, right. No matter who the fuck's holding the belt. I don't give a shit.
Cowboy, if you're watching this, don't take another fight after this unless it is a title shot. Please. For my own fucking sanity, please don't. Because you've more than earned it on more than one occasion, and you always take another fight, and I love you for that. That's probably one of my favorite reasons to watch you. You're by far one of my favorite fighters to watch, period, because of that reason. But there's some times where you're screwing yourself, and I hate to say that, but you know what? I guess money talks and bullshit walks.
Well, and that's another good thing to his fucking credit that for the most part, we've seen follow through. There have been a couple of bumps in the road because he's fucking Cowboy. But for the most part, Dad Cerrone is gold-oriented. He is not down for taking every fight that Dana calls him with that's available for the next weekend at whatever weight class there happens to be a fight ready at. Dad Cerrone, for the most part, has been pretty fucking belt-driven, and he's at the fucking precipice of the peak. He is so fucking ready to just cross that last little threshold and be in gold territory. I think a great fucking display victory this weekend will cement his fucking place there, and I really, really fucking hope that it comes down. But to be fair, as much of a badass as Gaethje is, you can't really be mad if he takes it the other way, because at this point in the game, this isn't, like I said, the Cowboy that takes any fight with anybody. So if you legitimately beat Cowboy at this point, you deserve your fucking praise. I just don't know if that's how it's actually going to shake down. But that's all we've got for this one. That's the whole card.
I have one other thing.
Oh, shit.
One exception to this, Cowboy. If you don't take a title fight, call out McGregor like you've done before and beat his ass into the ground, because I know you'll do so. I love McGregor, but...
he did yesterday. Cowboy released a statement yesterday on McGregor. He said, it's time to shit or get off the pot, bro.
Yeah, pretty much.
His exact words.
I'd love to see that fight, too, because that would be a fantastic fight as well.
I agree. That'd be an exception I'd be willing to make.
That would be the one exception. Other than that, title fights only, sir.
I agree.
And that was some loud ass thunder. Holy shit!
You got some storms coming up there.
A little bit.
But that's what we're going to call all for now. So, first and foremost, before we get too far out of here, before the thunder wraps them out, if somebody wants to learn why MMA is every bit as exciting as Green Bay Packers games, how are they going to be able to get a hold of you, TJ?
Wednesday nights, right here on the YouTubes. Golf T Vapes, right there. You see the name. You also, the Instagrams, wherever, email me for Christ's sakes. Same name, at Gmail. I'm here. Hit me up. I'm glad to talk MMA anytime. Other than football, this is my favorite sport. I really do love MMA. It's fantastic. Please come talk shit. If you feel like I'm talking out of my ass, let me know so that way I can correct you.
Thank you again for your time, brother. Always appreciate having you around here to help kick some of these MMA thoughts around with you. But that's what we're going to call all for this one, ladies and gentlemen. So if you enjoyed our shenanigans and our breakdowns of these fights, our thoughts, our recaps of the news, and our just opinions overall, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, make sure you got that little bell turned on so you get the notification when we go live. If we just made you chuckle like there's nobody's business, if there's no tomorrow, as far as the comedy we have presented goes for you, share an episode. Tell a friend. We're trying to grow this damn thing. On the other side of that coin, if we're just a couple of dipshits talking out our ass on webcams, give us a thumbs down. I won't dispute it. We deserve it. But that's what we're going to call all for tonight. So remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Finally, a good card. I don't have to give Dana the finger this time. Hopefully.
Sweet baby Jesus, yes.
Yep.
Son of a bitch.
We'll get it right one of these times. Maybe.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. But they fought with expert timing. There were funky Chinamen from funky Chinatown. They were chopping them up, they were chopping them down. It's an ancient Chinese art, and everybody knew their part. From a fainting to a slip, and a kicking from the hip. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening, but they fought with expert time.